Today is the greatest day I've ever known. And in honor of today being the very last day that Cap Friendly will be available to us human beings that don't work for the Washington Capitals, I wanted to go out there and talk about the Vancouver Canucks and their cap situation. Because a few days ago there was a post made on the R Canucks sub talking about the Canucks and their cap hits, as well as where everything has gone from a few years ago until now. Oh, Lego, you're making another video where you're just stealing content from Reddit? Yeah, I know, that's kind of what I'm doing here. But I feel okay in doing it because I'm giving props to the guy who made it, and this is a very good post either way. So, let's go over to our Canucks and give a big shout out to Relevant Jack White. They made this post titled Kudos to Jim Rutherford, Patrik Allvin, Emily Castonguay, and co. for fixing the Vancouver Canucks cap problems. It just occurred to me that despite substantial raises for Filip Hronek, Elias Pettersson, and Dakota Joshua, we are under the cap right now with a full competitive roster. 3-4 years ago, I remember thinking we were so cap screwed that we would have a hard time affording PD, Hughes, Besser, etc. because we were locked into so many bad deals. Goodbranson, Beagle, OEL, Eriksson, Myers, and the like. Benning's moves really made me feel like this team was going nowhere soon, and was going to spend the next 5 years capped out and missing the playoffs by a lot. And when that happens, your core breaks up, and you don't get 8-year extensions for your stars because even if you find a way to afford them, they don't want to lose. I'm extremely impressed with the shrewd moves this new management has made to fix the cap hell we were in. It was not a simple task at all, and they inherited a mess and a half, but they've really pulled it off. Props to everyone involved on these decisions. And if you take a look at the Vancouver Canucks cap-friendly page, this is where, you start to get sad, because they're not going to exist for us outside of today, but the Vancouver Canucks have $240,000 in projected cap space, with $0 used on the LTIR. They have one LTIR candidate in Tucker Pullman, whose $2.5 million AAV contract expires next year. But other than that, the only dead cap the Vancouver Canucks have, it's Ilya Mikheyev at $700K because of his salary retained on Chicago, and OEL, the buyout that takes him till 2030. That's going to be a while. But other than that, the Vancouver Canucks do have a fully iced roster, with the exception of Artur Silayev still being an RFA and needing a deal. We'll see if the Vancouver Canucks will send somebody down, or if they'll use that Tucker Pullman LTIR space to grab the necessary funds to keep Silayev's. But either way, the Vancouver Canucks and their salary cap situation is totally fine. If you use the Wayback Machine, let's go back over to archive.org and look at the Vancouver Canucks salary cap picture on September 1st, 2020. Here, the Vancouver Canucks had $2 million of LTIR space used. And if you take a look at their roster, Louis Eriksson was the most expensive player on the team at $6 million, Bo Horvat was here 5.5, Brock Besser was making 5.875, and then you had everybody else rounding out the lineup. Miller 5.25, you had Brandon Sutter 4.3, Tanner Pearson 3 point something, Michael Furland, Roussel, Beagle, all making 3+, and then you go over to the defense. Edler, 6, Myers, 6, Stetcher, Tanev, 2.3, 4.4, and then you go over into the rest of the lineup. Sven Baertschi, $2.2 million buried in the minors. Buyout history, Ryan Spooner, 1. Roberto Luongo recapture penalty, 3. And this was before they made the OEL Garland trade with Eriksson, Beagle, Roussel. The Canucks, in that time frame, had even more LTIR dollars used and kept on needing to go into extra dollars to make themselves fit. Let's go back over to the Reddit comments here. The Vancouver Canucks staff, Allvin, Rutherford, Castonguay, they were given a huge, monumental task. And what's most impressive is that it wasn't really a Band-Aid ripping moment outside of the OEL buyout. This entire redesign of our roster around our core was chiseled piece by piece, brick by brick. Just small moves that avalanched into an entirely new roster. Truly some gourmet stuff that Allvin and co. cooked up. I think every year we should have a day where we reflect on how bad that OEL trade was. Easily one of the worst trades in NHL history on so many levels. I'm so happy OEL got his chance to win the cup, and a new contract and a shot at another. None of what happened was his fault. Another comment says, now imagine if Jim Benning just let Roussel and Eriksson's contracts expire instead of trading for OEL. And the Canucks would then have a top 10 pick as a result, too. I imagine if they could have done that. Dylan Guenther is a very good player, so that guy could have been a good addition as a Vancouver Canucks prospect. It's been good work to ice a similar team to last year's while having the same amount of cap space. We lost big pieces but kept the main guys. The only real loss I think that hurts is Zadorov. And that also was one of the bigger aspects of the Canucks free agency roundup as well, that this team, for the most part, is pretty similar. You got the guys coming in, like the Forborts and the Jake DeBrusks, the Heinens, the Kiefer Sherwoods, and you have the guys going out like Mikheyev, Lafferty, Lindholm, Zadorov, and roughly, if you did it 1-to-1, the team pretty much looks the same, with the exception of the magnitude of skill that guys like Lindholm and Zadorov bring. However, the rest of the lineup and the new guys, if they fit into the spots that they're given, there's no reason why this Vancouver Canucks team cannot remain competitive for next year. In fact, if you go over to the same Canucks subreddit, there was a post made of JFresh's analytical projections for 24-25. Vancouver is tied right up in there with Edmonton. And I'd say the Oilers had a pretty good offseason when it comes to adding pieces and keeping together that same core. They just traded away Ryan McLeod today, but everybody else is still there. McDavid, Draisaitl, Bouchard, you added Jeff Skinner, Adam Henrique is sticking around too. There's a lot going on with the Oilers. So for the Vancouver Canucks to project to literally being tied with Edmonton for the President's Trophy on JFresh's model, this is where you start thinking about what Patrik Allvin and Jim Rutherford have done. They didn't add any huge, amazing pieces. The biggest piece they added was Jake DeBrusk, and I guess literally the biggest piece was Vinny Desharnais. But the team is as competitive as they were last year, and they're looking good. They're doing this all while staying under the salary cap as well. They just got to re-sign Silayev, and then they can use that Tucker Pullman LTIR space. But other than that, the team is fine. And this is the first time in years that you can say that the team has a mix of cap flexibility and on-ice talent, actually tangible results and expectations for those results. In the prior years when the team was bad, everybody was saying, okay, they could be good. They could have a good season, but nobody was really going out there and saying they will have a good season. The expectations were, okay, if they crap the bed, then yeah, that's going to happen. Bruce Boudreau comes in, and the team blows all these leads to open up the season. That's a possibility. But with this team, with Rick Tocchet, with these guys, I think the expectation is, hey, second round is the minimum here. Patrik Allvin in his press conference said, yeah, I'm very disappointed to be talking to you only after the second round, because the expectation within the group was that they would go further, and they're fair in believing that they have that capability. So heading into next year, there's no reason to feel like that expectation should shift downwards. In fact, it might even shift upwards. There might be more fuel to the fire here for the Vancouver Canucks in 2024-2025. So let me know your thoughts in the comment section below about Jim Rutherford, Patrik Allvin, Emily Castonguay, and the Vancouver Canucks and their salary cap situation, how for the first time in ages they're actually compliant and they're looking good in the process. It's been years since we have seen this, but I'm very happy nonetheless. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. I hope you enjoyed this video, and bye.